see how the internet did react to the game yesterday. First up is from the Spurs Watch, saying Tottenham, whenever they have a chance to get in the top 4, are the worst football team in existence. It's so true.
It's hard to disagree with that, isn't it? Because whenever we seems to have big opportunity. I mean, it's mad to think if we win yesterday, we're third place. It is mad to think that. Like, that is it's just so Tottenham. And if you ever wanted a layup with Ipswich at home, that is just like, to go third. Like, you couldn't have asked for a better game, really, apart from Southampton at home.
It's just so classic Spurs, though, isn't it? It's just so classic. Like, you go into that Crystal Palace game, and you're like, Crystal Palace haven't won a game all season. We go and lose to them. They haven't won a game since. You go and play the Man City team, who haven't lost all season. We go and win. Aston Villa, they haven't lost away from home all season. They come to our stadium, we absolutely play them off the park. We bat them 4-1. And Ipswich, of all teams, Ipswich come to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, haven't won all season, and they're probably not going to win again for the next however long. They're probably going to get relegated. They come and beat us. Every time before an international break, every time where Spurs have an opportunity, they absolutely fluff their lines and bottle it. It's just classic Tottenham, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Rory talks football. Crystal Palace after 9 games without a win beats Spurs. Ipswich Town after 10 games without a win beats Spurs. That's the old Chiellini thing. It's the history of the Tottenham.
Yeah. But also, as you say, Villa hadn't won away from home, lost to Spurs. Sorry, hadn't unbeaten away from home, lost to Spurs. Man City unbeaten all season, lost to Spurs. So it goes both ways.
Yeah. Let's see what happens after the international break where we go play City, who haven't won in 4 games.
They haven't lost at home, though. Have they? I think all 4 have been away from home.
Yeah, for a long time.
It should be classic Spurs to go to City and win. It just would be. It really would.
Jack says some hard truths. Son is finished. I disagree. Udogie is average. I disagree. Romero plays at 50%. I do agree with that, especially over the weekend. Dragishin is the Romanian Sanchez. Well, actually, Sanchez is playing better than him at the moment. Maddison will give you 5 good games at a season at best. I mean, he didn't even get on the pitch hardly to even prove that yesterday. Ange is arrogant and completely out of his depth. Is he arrogant? I mean, he changed it just in a really bad way. Every time he's asked to change a formation or swing a game in our favour in terms of a formation change, I think it goes horribly against him. And then we'll finish bottom half of the table. I mean, hopefully not.
Yeah, I don't think these are all truths. I think these are very... Well, after a defeat to Ipswich, everyone can... Again, obviously everything looks so bad after such a result like it was yesterday. The result was that bad. I can understand the reaction to it because you're losing to second bottom at home in the league. Like, you don't really have too many excuses for that. But all these things are just nonsense. They're just nonsense. I'm sorry, Jack. You're not talking facts at all.
And everyone goes on about Son is this, Son is that, Son is finished.
He played well.
Son is by far head and shoulders above any of our wingers in our squad. Like, nobody can.
I actually thought he looked quite sharp yesterday.
Yeah, there were times.
But that's the thing. When he's 30, well, he took 4 shots. How many more shots do you want him to take?
6, 7.
6, 7.
BLTHFC saying this is the worst Spurs performance before an international break since the last Spurs performance before an international break.
That is just Tottenham all over. Oh, God.
7 on the shirt says, I know what will cheer you up, seeing how hell-end Harry Clark celebrated his win at Spurs today towards the Spurs fans.
See that?
What a dickhead. What a dickhead. One of the only players in Premier League history to score an own goal. What was it? Score an own goal, sent off,
give away a penalty.
And give away a penalty. Get back in the mud, Harry.
He's got a target on his back, Harry Clark.
Spurs Connect. And it was also frustrating. So many... there was a Spurs Academy. Massimo Luongo was playing. Did Jack Clark get on the pitch yesterday?
He came on.
Jack Clark came on. And also the manager.
Kieran McKenna, former Spurs player.
Spurs boy as well.
Yeah.
So Spurs Connect saying, so frustrating seeing fans focus criticism on Ange but not the owners. Same conversation will happen in 18 months when the next manager as the scapegoat. Here's the stat. 7 managers in 5 years. Disgrace. Maybe the managers are not the problem. Levy and Enoch are the problem. And that's where I stand as well.
As I've said, I've had my issues with them. I still have issues with them. But I just think the way, since Ange has come in, I just don't see a massive issue with how they've conducted themselves. That's all I'm saying.
Carly says, just quote taking a picture of Billy T's tweet saying, being a Spurs fan is like having a terminal disease where you don't even get to die at the end. So true,
literally forever going on this being a Spurs fan.
Forever in pain, man.
I've been
Forever
diagnosed
in
with
pain.
being Spurs.
Oh, God. I feel sorry for you, man. Spurs Express saying Tottenham have failed to win their last 3 Premier League fixtures that came off the back of a midweek Europa League fixture, and that was, Brighton, Palace, and now Ipswich.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about, I guess it's Europa League, but, when we're also before an international break, I don't know what it is like. Maybe players feel like they can just doss it off, like, because they're going off for their country for 2 weeks and they don't have to deal with the consequences. But it's just every time it seems to happen.
That's what I'm saying. It's a mentality issue at this club, and there has been for a very long time. And it's like, no matter who the player, the manager, or whoever it is, it just seems to rear its ugly head way too often. Mari says Son should try this more often. Come on, Sonny. And yeah, he should.
No, but he had about 3 attempts like that yesterday.
Did he?
Yeah.
I only remember this one.
I remember he had 2 more, which you didn't remember them because they flew over the bar and they were terrible efforts.
CJ says Levy out, Ange in. Did the same with Conte, Mourinho, and Poch. Will continue to do it with every promising manager until they're gone.
I understand the reaction. I understand the, obviously it plays into the narrative. I'm not saying he's done everything great. I'm just saying I do see a difference with how they've operated since Ange's come in. That's all I feel. And when Conte, Mourinho, and especially the back end of Poch, I had massive frustrations with where things were going and what they were doing. But Conte, when Conte exploded that day, and since the end of that season, they did change things a bit. And I don't know whether it's a fact it's going to take time to notice it, or I don't know what it is, but I don't think changing the ownership would have made too much of a difference from that point.
The point is about changing the ownership, though. It's just like,
it's never going to happen.
First of all, it's never going to happen. And second of all, like, you don't know what's coming next either.
Yeah, exactly.
Could be even worse.
I just find it a boring conversation, to be honest.
I mean, it's a conversation we haven't had in a long time.
True, and we have kind of laid off them a bit for 18 months or so, which I think, you want to see how things play out, and the fact that it's not at the moment, as I say, at the moment it's not going well. People are going to start talking about it again. I just don't find it an interesting conversation.
But I think it's quite rightly so. I mean, when you're playing in this kind of stadium and you got in terms of wages, I think we're sitting like in mid-table or something in terms of the wage bill.
I don't know.
I think we're in the top end of the top half or something in terms of wage bill. If I'm right, maybe I'm wrong on that. But
I mean, before the summer, I think we were like 6th.
Yeah, and we massively reduced it.
Yeah, we did.
So
I mean, who would be high? Maybe Villa have overtaken us. I can't think of anyone else.
I mean, I can get it up in a second, or maybe we'll get into it after Reacts. But I feel like we have dropped down a lot. And when you're talking about playing in this kind of stadium, producing the revenues that this club produce, I mean, we should be sitting near the top in terms of wages and bringing in the Ezes and these kind of players that that could really take us onto the next level. In terms of players that we brought in the summer, which players are you saying that these are the guys that can really take you on to the next level? I mean, Solanke has fitted in like a glove. He's a really good player, and I'm really happy with him. But apart from that, I don't think any of the players you could say, these are really players to take us on to the next level.
We don't know yet.
Yeah, because it's going to take time for 18-year-olds to adjust. We're talking about a long time down the line. And that's what I was saying before about we don't bring in players.
Well, we weren't doing that before.
Yeah.
We weren't thinking of the future.
Yeah, but we need to think about the here and now.
But we have
good
players. But we have good players.
We don't have players that can catapult us into a title.
No, we don't. But we have players that can definitely compete for Europa League, definitely compete for cups, and definitely compete for top 4.
But Ange wants to win the league.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it's probably not going to happen in 2 seasons.
And if you want to fight, or at least like solidify your place in the top 4, you need to sign players that are going to command big wages, and we don't do that.
Well, because we've been burnt with that before. Look, it depends who it is. It may be an Eze, you can say, that would have demanded it, but Conor Gallagher giving him 250 to 300 grand a week, I don't think is the smart thing to do.
Prof Spurs saying, I know you're going to hate me for this, so this one time it's a free pass to call me a total C. But Spurs are now 3 points off third with the second best goal difference in the Premier League. You know, maybe the league is a little bit chaotic.
I think there is something to that. I mean, as much as we've lost 5 games, the league is very chaotic. And I actually cast my mind back to if I want to see if I'm right, because I remember when in Poch's last season, when we got to the Champions League final, well, like halfway through the year, we had lost something like 9 games. Yet we were
In which?
In the 18-19 season. Like if I go to like match day like 19 or something. Let me see this. Yeah, we had lost. Oh no, it was only 4 games, was it? No, what was it? Match day? Maybe I'm talking about a bit later. Like we had lost quite a few games, like halfway through the season, but because we hadn't drawn any, it meant we were still right up there. And I think the fact that we don't draw kind of helps us a bit because we do either win or lose, and those 1 points don't suffer from, and that will help us in such a chaotic season. But yeah, I mean, look, as much as that's true, it's still not good enough to lose these games against Ipswich and Palace and not win against Leicester as well. That's obviously not good enough, and that's a massive red flag. But if we can make up for it in other games where you don't expect us to get points, which, you know, Tottenham can do, then it won't be as bad. But I think the league is definitely... I think no one could deny the league is very chaotic this season.
Yeah. I just feel like the quality in the Premier League is just so high. You look at the top 10 teams in the league. There's not a bad team there, is there?
Yeah, and they've all got good managers as well.
And you look back to when Spurs were finishing in the top 2, top 3 under Pochettino. I mean, that wasn't the case. And you had a lot of teams kind of like off it at that moment in time with your Man Cities and people like that.
I think that was the case in his like early years, but once it was a couple of years down the line, I don't think that was the case.
When we started dropping down the league?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, yeah.
But
he still finished 4th.
Says Vic be like scolding Radu and then suddenly sees Son and I have to show love to my captain too.
Good old Vic. But he loves a
points
good
to Radu
scolding.
and say, you're a dickhead.
Right, yeah, I mean, Radu's got to step up, man. He has to step up. I don't know what moment. I think this must be leading up to the second half, maybe, when the teams are out. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe it ended the game.
Invert the Wing says, liability defensively cannot even offer anything going forward anymore. Been absolutely terrible this season. A total passenger. Pedro Porro has created one big chance in the Premier League this season. And for someone of his quality, the amount of goal contributions he got last season, that is nowhere near good enough. And I kind of agree with this.
I don't agree with it totally, but I do think he's dropped off this season. It's not as good as he was. I think last season was brilliant. What was it? 4 goals and 7 assists, I think it was.
That was his first assist.
That was his first assist. I mean, for a player of Porro's quality, it's not good enough.
Yeah,
for sure. I don't think he's been as bad as what he's saying in terms of defensively. But again, I think he was better defensively last season than he was this season.
Yeah,
he's definitely not been as good.
Now Spence is fit though. Like, I would actually drop Porro and put Spence in for the City game.
I wouldn't do it for the City game, but maybe if he has a bad game against City, I'll do it.
Stat Muse. Brendan Johnson versus Ipswich, just zeros across the board, and all he did was cardio.
And he bottled that challenge. Not going to forgive him for that.
Yeah, one challenge bottled. Davina THFC says, sum up that game in one picture. And there you have it. All the Spurs players looking very depressed.
Except for Romero, seems to be walking off fine. Always plays into that narrative, bloody Romero. Yeah. He had to do a bloody smiling picture after the game as well when he's with Argentina. I mean, I didn't like that at all. Just at least wait a day. Why on that night? We've just lost a big embarrassing game. You've had a bit of a stinker and you're posting a smiling selfie like, oh, international duty, international vibes, great.
This is what he lives
it's like,
for,
come on, Kuti.
Hotspur reports saying Tottenham's last 6 Premier League games, win-loss, win-loss, win-loss.
Yeah, the inconsistency is maddening, isn't it?
Yeah,
you just can't ever know, you can't ever get comfortable with Tottenham. You think you've turned a corner, and then
that's the thing. 2 step forward. I mean, 1 step forward, 2 step back. I mean, it's just so frustrating. It's like you go to Old Trafford and win, great, lose to Brighton after being 2-0 up at half time. Next game, Smash West Ham off the park. Go lose to Crystal Palace in an abject display, worst display of the season. Aston Villa, you absolutely played them off the park. They haven't lost away from home all season. And then you put in your worst display of the season against Ipswich at home after everyone says it's a fortress. I mean, this up and down nature is doing none of us any good.
No, absolutely
none
not.
of us.
Absolutely not.
Spurs Army saying Ange Postecoglou reacts to a fan shouting at him as he walks down the tunnel at half time.
Yeah, I'm watching this because I don't know if you can hear what the fan is saying. I've tried to listen. I don't know.
The first time that Ange's snapped back at a fan, is
I mean,
it?
but he hasn't. It's not snapping back, is he? What's he done, really? He's just looking.
Stands there and gives him the stare.
But no, he's just looking. Who said it? I don't think he's even staring. I think he's looking to see who said it. He couldn't see. I think it was very different to the last one against City, where he literally, I can't remember what he said, but he went at someone.
Yeah.
So I think people saying, I mean, he reacted. All he did was look and see who said it. Maybe he would have reacted if he saw them, but I don't even know what was said. Maybe he's saying, "Oh, you're a C word," and then he should react.
Yeah. Ricky TFC says only Tottenham could go into a game needing a win against Ipswich to sit third in the Premier League before an international break and land up in 10th spot.
Yeah, I know. It's just mad. It's just mad. But it also, again, plays to the fact that the league is so tight. It is so tight. And in one win, and all of a sudden things look very different.
Yeah.
But when you're not being...
At some point, teams are going to show consistency. And at some point...
And maybe they would say the same about us.
Yeah, they will be saying the same as us, but I feel like there are teams with better quality that, will get that consistency.
I don't know. I think we got as much quality as anyone else we're competing with.
Stokey G says, beat Man City and Villa, lose to Ipswich and Palace. This is Tottenham heritage.
Yeah, it's just classic Tottenham. We all know this will be another one to add to the list of how the times we've had a terrible result, then follow up with a great result, and followed up with a terrible result.
Yeah, let's just hope we can follow it up with a great result after this. Rizzler says he exists, he is real, and that is Dr. Tottenham rearing its ugly head again.
Someone take away his medical degree, for God's sake.
I was saying sack the guy, man.
God, who is still going to see this guy? Who gives him money
now?
For God's sake,
This
Dr.
guy
Tottenham
needs to be relieved of his duties, man.
It's just
horrific,
terrible.
man. Horrific. Spurs Web says Tottenham's last 5 games before an international break have all resulted in losses. Where is it going wrong? So that was the Chelsea game, the Fulham game, the Newcastle game, the Brighton game, and the Ipswich game. I mean, all of them. I mean, Chelsea game when we lost 4-1, that was actually we actually put in a fairly good display that day, but we got 2 men sent off. The Fulham game, the Brighton second half, and the Ipswich game were all shocking performances.
Yeah, terrible. I don't know what it is before an international break. We just can't seem to... I don't know what it is. I mean, why could that be an excuse for anything, that we're going on international duty? But it seems to be some sort of correlation that any time we're about to go away, we lose.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why does that keep happening?
Alex CHFC saying won 17, drawn 5, lost 17 since the Chelsea game around this time last season. I mean, that is a shocking record, man.
It is.
17 losses.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good, but there is 17 wins there.
Memorino is saying Spurs bin Hood.
Robin Hood.
Robin Hood, a player in Robin Hood is going to...
Yeah, exactly. We take from the rich and give to the poor.
Take to the rich and give
That's
to the
what we
poor.
do. That's what we're for the good of the league. God.
George Achilles saying Dr. Tottenham needs to be studied at Cambridge and Oxford.
Literally. He needs to be giving lectures, Dr. Tottenham. I want to know what his secrets are.
Seb Martin saying really, really angry at him, but fully behind him. And that's kind of where I'm at the moment. Like, I am really angry with some of the decisions. I was absolutely fuming. I'm still fuming now for the performance yesterday, but I don't see it like what good it will do sacking him.
I mean, who do we even look at? If we let's say we go on a terrible run, we lose the next 5 games. Who do we even look at?
I saw a tweet last night being like, "Get Graham Potter in now."
Graham Potter, what? Like as if that would be a massive
another failed
improvement.
Chelsea manager. Bring him in.
God, we don't who would unless we're convincing Nagelsmann to leave Germany. Who we looking at? Who we looking at? Tuchel's gone.
Amorim's gone.
Amorim's gone. Who we're looking at? I don't know who we're looking at. That would like, unless we're giving it Mason again till the end of the season. Give it Mace. Magic Mace. Like, I don't know who we're looking at.
I'm trying to think of like managers that we could. Nuno's doing a good job.
Nuno, yeah, bring Nuno back.
I've seen a few people say Thomas Frank.
I think maybe one we might look at is Iraola from Bournemouth.
Yeah, but you know. Look, I don't forget this conversation. We ain't looking for a new manager. Ange is here.
But that's the point. Like, if like for all these people saying sack Ange, I don't think they'll be happy with anyone we're talking about to replace him.
Exactly. We'll sack Ange, bring in Southgate, something like that.
God.
Lily White Lab saying Bentancur is not a lone pivot, never will be, doesn't have the temperament, just charges around and dives in time and time again, leaves massive gaps.
I think I was harsh on his. I do agree that the second goal, he should have stopped it at source. But I think by and large, he was our best player on the day. I don't think he was the problem.
Yeah, but also he was our best player because he kept up some sort of standards where everyone else was just shocking.
Agreed.
Paddy Power says, honestly, all jokes aside, how did Tottenham fans even get through the day?
I don't, mate. I don't know how we're still here.
I've been asking myself this for a very long time.
At least Paddy Power gets it. They can understand how we're feeling. I'm 100%.
Paul O'Keefe saying, this isn't new. The history of Enix Tottenham, frauds, the lot of them. It's perpetual cycle of promises and nothingness. I simply can't buy into them anymore. It's boring.
I understand that.
Jack Pitbrook says Spurs' ability to follow up a good moment or week with their worst performance of the season is just unmatched. Whenever they look like they've turned a corner, they turn back the other way. This is the history of the Tottenham, man.
Yeah, I can't think of another team who can just go from like up here to down there, like within. Like, it wasn't even a draw. We lost. You know what I mean? Even if it's a draw, it's a step backwards, but at least we take a point. We can't even do that.
A loss is just absolutely disastrous. And that's what I was saying before. Like, I can't take this up. And the highs are up there and the lows are down here, all in the space of a week. I mean, it's just too much, man. It's just too much. Lily White Rose says, knock Man City out the cup. Win 3-0 at Old Trafford, smash Villa 4-1, but lose to Ipswich and Palace, giving them their first wins of the season. That is the definition of Spursy.
Honestly.
Tappin Tobe says, don't tell me this team aren't inconsistent. Not a single Spurs fan who doesn't hide behind the stats will be surprised by that result. It's exactly the sort of spineless performance, the result we're accustomed to. Chance to go third or fourth, weaker team at home, off the back of playing a big win last week. Utter embarrassment of a side. Players and manager are completely inconsistent. Again, absolutely spot on. And you know what? In the build-up to this game, I firmly thought we were going to win the game. But in the conversations that I was having with people, I was like saying, you know, this is just a classic Dr. Tottenham game, isn't it? Before the international break, on the back of a really good win, after a Europa League game. It was just classic Dr. Tottenham.
Also, I feel like Ipswich, yes, they're near the bottom, but I also think like they didn't get a lot of the credit some of the other performers. Like they went to Brighton and got a 0-0 draw. Like they drew with Villa 2-2 as well. They were getting some decent results against decent teams, and maybe we underestimated them.
Yeah.
Well, we clearly did because we lost.
Yeah. Spurs Express saying when Spurs, when they have the chance to gain ground on the teams above them before the international break.
We're bloody Derby, 100%. Honestly,
Derby 07-08, literally the worst.
That's literally who we become. And it's like Tottenham when you've given up all hope, it's like bloody 2010 Barca. That's what it is.
It's madness, isn't it? Like, there's no team in the world like this, like Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, this is Spurs.
Ben Bowman says, bloody hell, Tottenham, dreadful first half. Would probably bring Maddison on, although it's Sarr who's been nipping in there, winning the ball back when we've turned it over. Right-hand side has been really poor. Kulusevski has not been anywhere near it either. And Dragoshin, ...
Yeah, I know. But, I mean, Dragoshin, there's big question marks about him. Yeah. Big question marks.
Dan Kilpatrick says there feels a strong chance Spurs will respond here to win comfortably as they did against Aston Villa a week ago, but consistently having to recover from a goal down is not sustainable indefinitely, and eventually they'll get a game like Wolves last February where they come unstuck, and this most definitely had that feeling towards it. And obviously what happened.
Yeah, and you know, conceding that second goal was obviously a massive killer, but Why do we keep starting so slow at home? I just don't understand. We're always in that first half chasing our tails, and I don't get it.
No context, Tottenham. Dr. Tottenham watching the game yesterday.
Here's your Medicaid, your prescription.
Exactly.
3 points.
BLTHFC saying 58% pass completion from Dragoshin today. That's more concerning than the defending, which is in part due to a non-existent midfield. Always rushes his passes and headers with zero pressure. Doesn't help calm down the team.
Agreed with that. That's the thing. It adds a level of nervousness. This is from the Galatasaray game.
Is it?
It's the same though. Could have easily been from Ipswich.
I would have gone off reverend. Yeah, we probably wouldn't have realised as well. We probably wouldn't have realised.
Yeah, bloody. Also, there's another tweet which is referencing the Galatasaray game, but I think it's relevant here. I do think he should have brought Lancashire on, just thrown him in there, and because we were swinging in crosses, and it was only Solanke we were aiming at. If we had, I'm not saying he comes on and we definitely win. I'm just saying he's another physical presence.
But what would that have done anyway when all the crosses are going straight into the keeper's arms?
Well, it gives them something else to think about, and it gives us another physical presence
to think about when all the crosses go.
They
into
weren't.
keeper's
We had
arms.
some good crosses. Werner was putting in some good crosses, and Porro was as well. It wasn't all straight into the keeper's hands. You only remember those because those are the most frustrating ones. There are some
It
where
happen a lot of times.
it did happen a few times, but there's also some where they actually put into good areas and the defenders were gobbling up. I think if you get Lancashire there with Solanke, I think that's another option to aim at. And when you're chasing a goal like that late in the game, I think we're better off having Lancashire there than having Son in the 10.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But that is how the internet did react to the game yesterday.